Louis, how are you doing today?
Fine, and you?
So we were talking a little bit behind the scenes. It's a holiday in France today. So you are, and we talk about this. There's not really quite a holiday for you, but you have a little bit of a
Yeah.
quieter day.
Yeah, it's better, because it's up in France, but not in the rest of the world, So
Mhm.
it's kind of a cool day for me because I can do more things, without being called every 2 minutes.
Do you have any other plans? I mean, I know we're going to be recording here, having this conversation for, for an hour or so, but after that, what are you going to be doing?
I have a fitting for Cannes, so yeah.
It never ends.
Yeah, exactly. But it's
Uh,
good, like that's what we are working that hard, and I'm very proud, that I have a lot of work, to do.
and that's one thing that I admire talking to a lot of creative people from fashion design all over the world is that they like to be busy. Being busy is a crucial part of the creativity feel of them. That seems to be the same case for you.
I think like fashion, it fit my character because I'm quite impatient, So I like things like to do a lot. I'm quite obsessional, which means like I love to work on the same thing all over, and that's why it fit. I think like the fact that we are working in cycle. Every time of the year we are doing the same thing. Like everything is so scheduled. Uh, I think I really like this kind of frame, and this kind of timelines that because you have this amount of time to create something, and so you deliver like for the show, let's say, like the show is this kind of acme of the collection. And after you can analyze and say, oh, this I like, this I don't like, let's redo, let's rework, let's improve, So I think it's really fit me, for now.
It requires a discipline as well. People talk about creativity being something more spontaneous, more like up and goes, but requires a lot of discipline because, as you mentioned, everything is already scheduled for the whole year. So, give me
Yeah.
an idea what the schedule looks like. Let's say when the calendar season begins, and when is the busiest part of the year for you? When is the one perhaps that you have some time to take some not days off, but you can lightly being able to enjoy yourself a little bit more.
So me, I'm in the menswear calendar in Paris, so which means we can have our day off in August, because the year is really planned in function of the fashion week, So we have the show which are always at the same date in Paris, which are like mid-January and mid-June, So yeah, it's really planned the whole year because it determines like. When we need to deliver like the collection first and then the showroom dates and the orders and productions and delivery and blah blah blah. That's why I'm always talking, because it's really like that. And then you have like all the in betweens, like with because now we start to do custom and dressing even more like celebrities and stuff like that. So we have adding to this calendar like Met Gala, Cannes, Grammys, Oscar, stuff in France also, which is another kind of planning, running at the same time. And then also, as we have a physical store and a website, we have also to work on the retail kind of timeline, which means like delivery for the collection and the sales and all the communication is turned around down. So you have to think that we always working on 3 different collections at the same time in the year, with different timeline, so sometimes I don't know which year we are because it's like so much in advance, so yes, that's why I'm really happy to to have this kind of realness of the store, and the website because it really like for me on my side keep me on the ground, and say like, okay, like this is what's happening now and not like in one year.
Yeah, I imagine the time can be very confusing because, as you mentioned, you're working 3 different collections for the next year and a half. You're
Exactly.
waiting, planning, developing, getting ready.
Mm,
Uh, how much? I mean, is that a room for changes? For example, in a collection, I'm sure the one coming up in June, July,
mm.
probably there's very little room to change anything at
Yeah.
this point right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the ones that you're looking further down the road, how much do you give yourself space to come up a little bit of a last minute and make adjustments or improve or take things in and out to convey a different story that you originally thought would be?
So us, we have a very particular creative process because at AGN we're working on literature, which means like every collection is a book, which means like we can plan the collection really, really in advance. We know 3 seasons before the book we want to work, so which means we have this kind of red thread, which means like the luxury that we have is we have time to think before. We are very cerebral in the team, and it's very like a collaborative work, which means like we say like, okay, so we have this book now, we are working on this kind of topic and this is the angle, but the next one is this, so we love this idea, we can keep it for next year or in 2 seasons, and let's see what we do before. So this is actually the luxury that we can afford, is to have really the time to think before and to do a lot of development before, even if we don't use it on this collection. This is always the same area in this kind of obsessional kind of working on texture and material. And also we have I'm drawing with the team all the lineup before, because we count everything. It's very organized and plan. I love to create when there is a big frame. And then when we can change things is actually before the show. We have like the show preparation, which is normally 2 days, 3 days before the show. And so we are working with a stylist, Marguerite. It's 2 years and a half. And because he knows in advance, like what's the lineup we draw, and then we talk about it together, we test things, and casting at the same time. So also the look change a lot when you have the people in front of you. This is something extremely important for me. And voila. This is the 2 times when we can adjust, I feel like.
One thing about your work that I find very exciting is the idea that you tie your collection with books. I think it's a very interesting concept. And reading a little bit more about you, I saw you did A Single Man, American Psycho, a lot of great books and classics involved. Was that always part of the plan? When you begin in 2017, you say, I want to kind of merge those 2 things that I enjoy quite a bit and make it, make it one?
Yeah, actually, it's really weird because I always had this creative process even at school, because I used to read a lot because I was completely hyperactive. So my mom was so fed up that she put me with books and locked me in a room, so she can be like a bit more calm. And yeah, so this is actually naturally my source of inspiration before movies. And it's kind of a ritual for me. Like I'm reading every day, if I'm coming out like a party and I'm completely drunk, I always read like 1 page or 2, It's really like I love to be surrounded by books also, because I moved a lot in Europe in my life before, and I was always carrying my books. It was something very important. So it was really natural for me. And actually, even if the product and the style of the brand, like for example, like this, it was present from the first season, and we do clothes which are exactly the same since 5 years and a half, almost 6 years now. It was more about to really like doing a therapy and understand and conscientize why I have this creative process, and yeah, so I at the beginning of the brand, I was working really on books which were like a bit more niche, let's say, for fashion, like Kurzio Malaparte, Yuko Mishima, so it was a bit complicated to explain, and also it was a bit more less edited than what we do before. So now we really work on books that's only the title, you have an imagery, and you don't need to read the book to enjoy. And the reaction that I have is like after the show, people say, I really want to read the book right now, So I think it's really cool because gives the opportunity to people to think about themselves, and to try to understand why we have this point of view on this type of art, and make it more personal.
Now, because you were interpreting the book in the form of clothing design, how often do you go back and your perspective of that book has changed? Because now the way you're looking at it is different than the way you first read it.
Yeah, exactly. And because there is books which, like for example, the last fall winter collection in January, Bellamy from Maupassant. It's a book which is like so classic in France because you have to read it in high school, So it was actually really funny to read it. And it was, I don't know, like 10 years I didn't read it. And it was actually really funny to read again this book, and you have a completely different perspective, on it. And yeah, I think this is like fashion. Also, you can buy a white T-shirt and you can do 10,000 things out of it, so at your different time of life. And this is exactly what LGN is about, like it's really like how you can express yourself, which is like always easy to say, but quite difficult to apply, like literally. And yeah, you can, because different people can read the same book and have a completely different interpretation of it. And this is something that I find completely fascinating, and it's exactly the same about fashion, for me.
Do you require that the entire team read the book? It's a
Exactly.
book club.
Exactly. Actually, we do like sessions, and and the team come up and they say, "Oh, I really want this," and I always say, "Yeah, it's cool. Why?" And we make like the point, like the good points, the bad points, blah blah blah. So it's really like a collective decision, and I think it's really important because it's feed, the collection, because as I told, like everyone has a different point of view, and I think it gives like a good base, and after we can really interpreted it. So it can be like the timeline, the colors, the sensation. Now it's been like few seasons that we really focus on the sensation that we have when we read the book and what like the spirit of the book, and how we can translate that into garment, because you start from an emotion, and after you have to transcribe that sensation to a garment. So that's why the textile and all the fabric development that we do are so crucial, in the process. And actually, we work like mid-journey, because our basic mood board, it's post-it with words, and then from those words we selected, we start to find images, and then from those images we really develop the material.
That's an interesting though, because that's relatively new for you, a new approach with the Midjourney, how you're incorporating the AI to come up with the
Me, I'm
imagery for STEM.
obsessed. I'm so obsessed. Like
Are you any good at it though? Because it can be quite challenging to find the prompts and really get the way you wanted to go.
yeah, but I feel like it's exactly how we work, actually, and for me, it's really a tool. I don't feel at all in competition with those kind of things. I think it's really genius, and it's really allow us to push ideas further, you know. And yeah, I use Midjourney for one project now, because it was like so everything was quite precise what we wanted to do. It just I didn't have time, to create stuff, so it was really a good way to propose already very narrow kind of images, to the client, and after we can rework it, but I think it's a very good tool, really. Me, I don't feel at all I'm working a lot with ChatGPT also, yeah, because it's words only, and yeah, I think it's extremely cool, extremely cool.
So you embracing the technology as a tool, as you mentioned, and just streamline the process. So it give you space to be more creative with
Exactly.
those things.
Exactly. I feel like everybody is scared, but it feels like the beginning of internet and the website, like the online store. Everybody was screaming like, yeah, it's going to kill the game, blah, blah, blah. No,
Yeah.
it didn't kill the game. It just changed, and evolve. And I think it's very important to evolve and not be always on what you know, and to take some risk.
Another thing that you are known for is for creating gender fluid and size inclusive collections. Was that something that also going back to 2017 was part of the plan, or something that you saw that wasn't necessary in the industry that you wanted to be one of the guys leading the charge in creating those collections?
I think it was really natural, like the brand. I created AGN because I didn't recognize myself in any of the brand I was looking for. I was looking for something which were like very good quality, but not that much expensive. I was looking for designer, but not like costumey kind of things, easy, machine washable. And first of all, I was not recognizing myself in the image, because I feel like in fashion, everybody is in a box, if you want to be sexy, you go to the sexy brand. If you want to be like super formal, you go to the formal brand, but actually I was not like comfortable in the fact that you really give direction to the customer, and you always have this kind of fantasies that the actual people in the are dressed exactly like the runaway look, which is for me a completely nonsense. And what we do is a proposal, and the people do what they want with it. So everything that we do in AGN is based on the demand. It's not like we are doing something new, but it's really like responding to a demand. Like I'm doing size inclusivity because my friend in Paris and in the store, the people were like, I really want to dress in what you do, but you don't have the size. So I say, okay, let's do the size for you, and we always have customers on the runaway because I'm very proud about the community that we have. And me also, the fact that I'm obsessed with some brands, but when you arrive in the store, it doesn't fit you at all, so you're so disappointed, because you feel, oh my God, like, what should I do, and yes, I wanted to work even more on that because the level of reaction that just putting like hairy guys on the runway was insane, so for me, when I saw the reaction, I was like, I want to do even more, because it's funny, like just to provoke reaction, just showing bodies, and even not showing skin. I feel like people were even more shocked when they were like fully dressed than almost naked. And and yeah, I'm very proud about that. And so it's very naturally like the women's wear. We started women's wear last January because it was 30 or to 40% of the customer of the brand. So I was like, let's something, and I think this is how you stay honest, to yourself, and what you see is what you have.
I like what you said, that you don't like the brands giving direction to the customer,
It's
and
something super important for me.
and that's the thing that I feel a lot of days brands are so invested to provide a lifestyle, so people can know what to do, what to dress, how to dress in certain occasions. And tell more about that. At what point that clicked to you that you realized that, I've been told what to wear instead of wearing what I like?
Yeah, but I think it's me, for example, because I used to struggle a lot how I should dress every day. Me, I don't have time to think about it, so it's really like I'm grabbing stuff every morning. So it needs to be like extremely practical, extremely resistant. I don't have time to go to the pressing, and I'm doing so many different activities in the same day. That I need to be dressed like. Not too dressy. Also, I realize it's very French mentality, the way I'm speaking about fashion, but it's funny also because I've been trained in Belgium and Italy, but yeah, I think it's really like it has to be easy. You can make a statement without doing a lot of things, like the fact that we do, for example, bodies for guys, already a statement, because it's not a pieces that you usually find treated like that, not too, I don't like to say that, but not too niche, I think if you want to spray a message, you really need like the people wear it, it's actually more active than to, and it's exactly what I'm obsessed with literature and how we absorb an open conversation. I feel like you have more impact when you speak with people rather than screaming, but it's easier to. So yeah, I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you did. You did. A lot of times, customer look at the brand or the creative director of a brand as an authority and of the subject matter. So they want to
Yeah,
really follow what you're saying, but you're more interested in understanding the person first and then
yeah,
finding what that person needs and create
exactly.
something for that person.
That's why it took me years to realize that we really feed a gap in the market, like in price, in design, in what we show, for me and the team, it was extremely natural, because it was really honest. But I know from the start that I cannot please everyone, like, but it's not the fact, we always give direction, but we show what we are, what we are representing, working on male representation. It's everybody's working on that when you're doing menswear, but it's like the angles that we want to show. Like working on sensuality is extremely complicated, but at the same time extremely interesting, So yeah, I think it's quite important, and even more now that we have this platform with this number of view and attention on the brand. I'm extremely proud to have this diversity of the community. When you see the show, you have like a front row with so many different people, from different world. And at the beginning, people are like, yeah, but it's mean like you don't know what you do. And I've said like, but this is actually the brand, and I'm actually really proud of that, because I'm thinking like, as a designer, I'm doing well my job when a lot of different people like what I do, so, and want to wear it also, which is like the most important, you know.
But also, it takes courage because you see a young brand, and a lot of the times, fashion is such a competitive space. There are so many huge brands. There's so many great
Mm.
talent. It's so fast paced as well. So everybody's trying to carve a name for themselves. But you seems like at one point you realize you completely understood who you are as a person, meaning how you want to translate that through your work. Was that like an aha moment that kind of just clicked to you, or more an evolution of observing what's going on and trying to understand and make adaptations that fit your personality so it could convey better through your design?
I think it's really like the second part of what you say. Because as I told you, we think a lot and we talk a lot, and it's really about the meaning of everything we do, you know. It's really like a Belgian design process. Huh? It's everything that I've learned at Ralph Simons, without being pretentious, And I always wanted the brand to be worn, because for me, I don't see why should I work that hard if it's only for magazines? Like, I don't see the point. It's cool, and I enjoy it, but we are doing clothes, so it has a use. It's not like an app. It's really like have a utility for people. People will wear garments at the end of time. And which means it always was in my mind. Like it's more than in my mind, like literally why I want to wake up every day. It's like we are doing things that actually people want to wear and wear them. And actually, I think the best remark I had, it's like people entering into the store and they say, thank you for what you do, because I never expected myself to try this kind of things, and I'm like, yeah, so it's really how you have an impact, and you feel like fashion is important and not important at the same time, but it's really like a sponge of society, and how you dress, even if you meet people that say, I don't want to dress, it's already a statement, so I'm really obsessed about these things, and doing bodysuit, doing like transparency, doing stuff which are like extremely fluid, on the make body, it's already a statement.
I like often enough, I read a couple of interviews, and earlier you kind of mentioned about honesty. Seems to be a big topic for you as well, to be
Yeah.
clear with the cost, the price, the sustainability issues,
Mm.
everything that we're talking about in 2024. You are now walking away from those conversations. You're being very much honest about them as well. Can be a risk move for brands in a world that we live today. That there's so many different sides and conversation. But for you, it seems to be like there's no other way around. You have to do this. This is the way you have to go, and the way you have to do things.
Yeah, exactly. But you cannot communicate on 10,000 things at the same time. For example, me as a brand, in terms of communication, it's really focused on quality, no logo, size inclusivity, the social aspect on the garment, because actually we are working on this kind of archetypes of wardrobe, in terms of shape, meaning of colors, blah, 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 showing the LGBT community for sure, you know. But also the brand is for sure extremely sustainable, because for me it's normal to start a business with this in mind, because I'm doing it at home, so why shouldn't I do it in my company? So for me it's just normal to do that, and to have all these kind of reflections which are not very fashionable, like packaging, logistics, stocks. What's your cursor? Is it the footprint carbon? Is it where you do the garment, where you ship it? So when you buy something, you pollute. If you don't want to pollute, you buy vintage. And but that's true.
Yeah,
Even upcycling. Like there is so many way of doing upcycling. And it's really a matter of, I don't want to be in the greenwashing, actually. But the fact that we develop almost 100% of the material here in the team, it's so sustainable, because actually we exactly know what's everything in the fabric, which for me is key, because this is what makes the pieces last. It's what directly in contact with you, so it's the most intimate part. But, yeah, I think it's really, you cannot do everything. We don't have the manpower, we don't have the maturity. So let's try to do well already what we do, and after we will see how much we can,
Now, how old were you
I'm
when you
36.
just? No, no,
No.
I'm not. I'm like, how old are no? Good to
you,
know.
you, you talk like old people. Oh my God.
I'm like, are you even from the century? But listen, no. Question is, how old were you when you realized that fashion was the path? That's what you wanted to do.
Oh, it's so cliche. Like I always wanted to do that. Like I'm drawing fashion since I'm like 5. I was destroying the makeup garden to do things. I was sending things to and my family was sending the drawings to the couture dress like Christian Lacroix, Dior. I think I still have their answers. But yeah, I've always been obsessed. I don't know why. And I think my first shock, it was I was working in Paris because there were like no internet and stuff like that. And I
Oh
saw
my
people,
goodness, you're that old?
yeah,
No internet?
definitely.
Listen, I'm
And
older than you, so we're in the same boat here, buddy.
but I remember fashion from the street, and watching people. And I think my first fashion shock was seeing people getting out the Yoji Yamamoto store in Paris, and it was a complete trauma. I was like, oh my God, what is that, And it was completely out of my world. It was completely out of what I knew, and then I started to be completely obsessed with Japan. Also, I saw the movie Princess Mononoke in cinema in France, because there is this kind of link with Japan and France. So all the Ghibli movies, they were like
Yeah.
out in France almost at the same time in Japan, So I saw it. I don't know. I was like 8 years old. It was a trauma. Like my mom was not aware at all. It was not for children, but she's like, oh, like the picture is nice. Let's say like this. It's a cartoon. It should be okay. And complete trauma. So no, it really started from what I see. And I avoid this for many years because I'm not at all from this kind of world. And for me, it was extremely complicated because I was like, it's possible for me to be part of it. I don't have the money, I don't have the network. How should I do? So I did a lot of things before doing fashion and really took my gut and said, okay, I really want to do.
Going back to talking about, I just recently played Spirit Away for both of my girls, so they can watch some of the Ghibli movies as well, and they love it. So it was a very influential part for them as young kids. But you were talking about before you followed your gut, and you made several different things before that. What was the thing? First, what was some of
But
those things that you did work before?
I wanted to have like a normal job, and more easy.
Mhm.
And so I did like 2 years of medicine school. I have a bachelor in law, and then at the end of law school, I was so bored. I was like, okay, let's try to do something which is like more linked to fashion. And so I called Vogue, like the magazine, because it was my only way. I knew no one in any brand. I didn't know how to stitch a button. And I was like, okay, let's start with a magazine, so maybe I can see and touch like all of those things. And so I called them like I think for 6 months because they were not understanding like why do you want to go to the juridic part? Okay, it's fine, but why do you want to go in the shopping? I was like, yeah, I want. And it started like that. It was like an internship, and they advised me school. Because I didn't knew any school. Also, the school at the time in France, it was like only private school, and it was completely out of my league. And because it was too expensive, and so they advised me school, and I did like all the contests, and I was accepted at La Cambre in Brussels. How it started.
In the last 7 years since the brand has been open and you have enjoyed a lot of success, as you mentioned earlier as well, have there been moments in your career that you kind of doubted that path?
It's every day, you know. Yeah, it's always like let's do it without regrets, and when it will stop, it will stop. It's not the end of the world, but now I really try to enjoy the the luck, because there is always a part of luck. But yeah, it's every collection, every day, like you never know, and for now it's cool, but I always say, like, to myself, that the fame doesn't last, but the products stay, so this is I feel like now the brand that is really expanding since 1 year and a half, let's say, how we can keep our value with this expansion, and stay true to ourselves and what we do and what we want to talk about. So, but it's every day I'm doubting.
No, I'm walking away. You said that the fame doesn't last, but the product stays. That's a
Yeah.
great thing for young professionals and people to really think about it. Doesn't matter what you're doing right now, it might end soon, but what you have created might stay. So, going back to the same topic,
Yeah.
what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Oof, legacy. I don't know. I think like what we do on Runaway and the male image, because like putting bears on the runaway, it's not revolutionary. Walter van der Donn did it like 30 years ago, but it feels like in fashion people have problem with memory, and but it's cool, I really wanted like to show like how a different part of masculinity, and yeah, I think this is really something I would be extra proud, without being cliche, because I love cliche, I love stereotypes, I love to play with them, but actually you need to have like a bit of step back, about that. And me, I was really pissed off, when everybody was telling me, but you're gay, you're white, blah blah blah, and I would say, yeah, but does it define me as a person? Like you can be gay, but what's the society is expecting you from a gay guy? You can be several things, you can be what you want, really. And it's always easy to say, but it's quite difficult to apply, and especially for a fashion brand, because we're going back to this kind of box kind of mentality. It's easier, to put people in a box. But yeah, I feel like it's really what I wanted to leave. I don't know. It's so weird to talk about that, Uh,
Yeah, it's an interesting subject, right? Because when we think about legacy, we're like, oh, it's so far away. There's so much work to be done. But the
yeah,
way I like to see things, knock on wood, we don't know tomorrow, right? If today
exactly.
happens to be a last day on this earth, what are we going to be reminded of? And have we had the chance to at least,
I don't know if I want to be reminded, like this is not something I'm thinking about right now, even if I know a lot, like the museum kind of things, and the archive work is really something which is like really putting forward now. Like you see, like the number of fashion exhibitions that you have in the world right now, it's insane. And everybody is talking about the past because it's a tough period, so it needs to show to people that you have roots. Oh, it's been 100 years that we are here. You can come to me. It's safe. But, I don't feel like the brand weirdly is nostalgic or talking about the future. We're really talking about the present, and this is something that conscientized quite recently. And I think it's extremely important. Like let's not project what the future is going to be, because we are doing clothes. I'm not a medium. Talking about the past and knowing our reference is extremely important. We are doing now, and we are working on our spectrum, of action and possibility of what we can. Let's try to do it. We think a lot already, so let's not overthink about the future.
that's not overthinking by really breaking down every single thing that we're
Yeah.
doing. And no, it's an interesting exercise, though. I think it's an interesting mental exercise.
Mm.
Who are some of the influential people in your life?
In which way?
And like meaningful way too. Could it be in a personal life? Some people, a person that really kind of shape your personality, or your vision of the world, or even someone in a working environment.
I think Yuki Mishima was a complete shock when when I was reading it really opened me so much about like homosexuality, about a new type of how you describe the world around you, and and you can make a fantasy about it without it look real, and I think fashion, it's exactly what it's about, because you have to dream about it, but it have to be close, but not too close, because otherwise what's the point, so this writer was a complete shock for me, like the Japanese literature in general, to be honest, because it's so as European, outside of our culture, that it's so interesting, I feel. What should I say? I have only like a woman, like professionally. My associate, she's a girl which I know for 15 years. I've been supported in the business by women a lot, and that's why it took me like so long to do women's wear, because I have like so much admiration for all the girls and women that are around me, that I didn't want to work on a fantasy of a woman, as a man, I feel like I cannot understand, what they want, what they need, because it's a different body, it's a different way the society is perceiving them, and what they want to do with it. So for me, I feel like more than humble, and it was a risk we took in the companies to start. And personally, my husband, he changed my life. No, it's so cliche, but it's true also. And I need a lot of stability around me, and my inner circle is extremely small. I like to do the same thing all the time, so I think this is how I can be creative. It's this kind of rhythm which is like extremely controlled, and people which know me extremely well around me, and this is how I can get comfortable.
How did you meet your husband?
Oh, it's been 10 years now, we met on not social media, how can you call that? It was like before the dating app, so it was a forum or something like that. So it works.
That's great. Louis, before I let you go, I ask the same questions for everybody that comes over here, and I'm sure you're going to give me some great answers. So I asked 3 suggestions, okay?
Yeah.
I need you to recommend us. Usually I ask them to recommend us a book, but I have a feeling, because you are a big bookworm, I want 3 books out of you. So think about 3 books. It could be something that you read recently or important books in your life. Something to watch. It can be a movie, a TV show, a documentary, whatever. And the
Okay.
third thing, a person. Who should we invite to be a guest here on the show next?
Okay, so for the books, I don't know the name in English for the title, sorry, but it's a book which I'm reading, I think, like once a year since 15 years. It's literally the end of time of Haruki Murakami. I'm obsessed. I think I know it by heart. When I don't know what to read, I'm always reading some Zola, you know. Which is always like I really love French literature. The super classic ones are always around me. And what I'm reading now, because I'm reading two books or 3 books at the same time. Sometimes I love to jump between books. As it's very busy, I wanted to have like some fantasy, kind of reading, because it's like outside the world, outside the reality. So I'm gonna find the name in English. How is it called? It's like pure, like Lord of the Ring kind of
Okay,
book.
so
Like
very
super.
fantasy heavy.
Yeah, very very fantasy. Perfect. I will send you the name after I will
Yes,
find it in
do
English.
do so.
Alors, movie. What's the last saw in the cinema? I think it was Dune. The part
Doing
2.
part 2.
Yeah, and
Have you ever read the books?
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
All
yeah, yeah,
6
yeah.
of them?
No. I think I've read like the 2 or 3 first one.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I'm waiting for summer to finish like the full circle. But yeah, like it's been years that during like the kind of fake black and white thing, with Austin Butler, who we dressed, so I was like so obsessed. It was years that I didn't scream in a theater like, oh my god, it is so amazing visually, like so this was really cool. I saw it's movies that I saw or I like in
Or yeah,
general.
something that you
Ah,
recommend that's one of your favorites, something like that as well could be true.
well, all the Lars von Triers for sure.
Mhm.
And Princess Mononoke, which is like my favorite movie from all time, which I know by heart also. Voila. And the people that you should invite are so many. Like Rico Owens for sure. I'm obsessed. There is this artist in New York, which I really love. It's Miller's Greenberg. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's really really cool. I really like what he. And a contemporary writer. Oh, there is maybe a paint. Allez, let's do a photographer. Ismaël Moumin, which I'm working a lot, is a very good friend, extremely talented, and it's been 15 years that we are working together.
Amazing. Louis, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. This has been such an enjoy conversation to get to know you a
Then,
little bit better, understand your process. I have a sense that next time I see you next, collection out, I'll be able to go a little bit deeper and perhaps
yeah,
understand the man behind the clothes a little bit further. And that's
mm,
a treat for me. And I hope a lot of people who was listening, a lot of people who are going to be watching this,
yeah.
walking away with some great information, some great bits to go back and think about how they want to incorporate some of those wonderful in their lives.
Thank you. It was a very nice conversation. Thank you very much for your time also and the opportunity to explain a bit more what we are doing here in Paris, And yeah, see you soon and hope you will like it.